Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Brad's Whiteboard Chronicles. Today we're going to be discussing linear equations. We're going to be looking at data in a table. We're going to be plotting that on a graph. We're going to be understanding slope, positive slope, negative slope. So the first thing I want to do when we talk about linear equations is I want to look at plotting them. So we want to understand the x and the y axes. So y, up and down, x, left and right, vertical, horizontal. So if we have a positive slope, when x increases, y also increases. So this is positive slope. Negative slope, on the other hand, looks like this. So when x increases, y decreases. That's negative slope. So keeping that in mind, what we're going to do now is we're going to plot this data onto this graph. This is an example of a coordinate, x, y. Right, so in this case here we know that when x equals minus 2, y equals minus 2. So it's represented as this coordinate, x equals minus 2, y equals minus 2. Right, so if we were to plot that on the graph, when x equals minus 2, y equals minus 2 would have a point here. So let's fix that. Put a point here. So when x equals minus 2, y equals minus 2. So that's 1 point. The next point says when x equals minus 1, y equals 0. So when x equals minus 1, y equals 0. X equals minus 1, y equals 0. So here. Second point. When x equals 0, y equals 2. So when x equals 0, y equals 2. When x equals 0, y equals 2. Y equals 2. Finally, it says when x equals 1, y equals 4. When x equals 1, y equals 4. X equals 1, y equals 4. Alright, so we can see that we've plotted these 4 coordinates onto our axes, and we've come up with these 4 points. So now the next step is to draw a line through these points. And again, my graph's not perfect, so I apologise for that. Okay. So, how do we express a linear equation? Well, it can express algebraically by y equals mx plus c. So this has got 2 coefficients, m and c, and we can see that m is a variable coefficient because it varies with x. While c on the other hand is constant and fixed because it doesn't vary with x. There's no x behind the c. So the question is now, how do we find m and c? Well, we can do that 2 ways. We can use a substitution method and substitute the values in this table within this expression to solve for m and c, or alternatively we can use a rise and run method to solve for m, the gradient. So we'll use the rise and run method here to find m. So m equals rise over run. So we'll take these 2 points here. So for instance here we're starting at minus 2y and we've gone up to y of 0. So we've gone up 2, and then we're running from minus 2x to minus 1x. So we've gone up, we're run 1. So our rise was 2 and our run was 1. So we've got a value of 2. And we'll try that in one more spot. We'll try that here to prove that this gradient m is consistent throughout the whole curve. So again we're rising, going up, and we've gone from 0 to 2. This value here is 2. And then we're running across. We're going from minus 1 to 0. So we've gone one value across. So again, rise on run equal 2 on 1 equals 2. And again, we'll do it one more time. Rising, so we went from 2 to 4, so we went up 2. We're running, we went from 0 to 1, so 1. So again, 2 on 1 equals 2. So now we've proved that the gradient along this line has been consistently 2 the whole time. So we've found m, we can say m, the gradient is 2. So now to find c, the trick to finding c is to choose the point where x equals 0. Right, so in our table of data, we know that when x equals 0, y equals 2. So we're using our expression, y equals mx plus c. We know when x equals 0, y is 2. So 2 equals m0 plus c using substitution. So what I've done is I've substituted 0 into here, substituted 2 into here. We also know what m is, which is 2, so I can substitute 2 into here. So 2 equals 2, 0 plus c. And we know that 2, any number multiplied by 0 is 0, so 2 equals c. So now we can finally say that our expression for this tabulated data is y equals 2x plus 2. And again, positive gradient, that's a positive number. Curves sloping upwards. When x increases, y is increasing, thus telling us that we've got a positive gradient, a positive slope. If this was a negative number on the other hand, and we saw that when x was increasing, y was decreasing, then we could say, okay, we've got a negative gradient. Thanks for watching, guys.